Welcome to the program today. We have a threefold message today. We're going to talk about fathers, idols, and graven images. I'm preaching in August 2015, so we're ready at the start of another NFL season. America's number one form of idolatry, pro football. So I'm going to preach here. Let me just start off. Exodus chapter 20, verses 3 and 4 says, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, nor any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth." Pro football teams, they have mascots. College teams have mascots. For pro football, for example, you have Eagles, Bills, Cardinals, Jaguars, Seahawks, Broncs, Rams, Ravens, Lions, Bears, Dolphins, Falcons, Panthers. The insignias for them, you see the flags flying off people's cars, you see stickers, you see jackets. God has put his copyright on his handiwork. Copyright law is very tricky in Hollywood and in legal terms. In the real world, there's a reason. Satan wants to create, he can only emulate. God has put creation in his handiwork. You see God in the mountains. You see God created the heavens and earth, the sun, the moon, the stars. Created man. We're made in the image of God, and man is. See eagle. I live around Philadelphia. You see eagles stuff everywhere. You see Baltimore Orioles. Orioles are bird. You see Orioles, Ravens, and Eagle stuff everywhere. On cars, on doors, on flags, stickers, jackets. Well, a raven, an oriole, and an eagle is a likeness of something God has made. That would be idolatry, and that would be covetousness and judgment. Let me read from Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 16 through 18 says, "Lest ye corrupt yourselves and make you a graven image, the similitude of any figure, the likeness of any of male or female, the likeness of any beast that is on the earth, the likeness of any winged fowl that flieth in the air, the likeness of anything that creepeth on the ground, the likeness of any fish that is in the waters beneath the earth." Deuteronomy 7:26 says, "Neither shalt thou bring an abomination into thy house, lest thee be cursed thing like it. But thou shalt utterly detest it, and thou shalt utterly abhor it, for it is a cursed thing." We have been warned about graven images in the Bible. You know, some Christians, they go buy a little figurine of Noah's Ark, get little giraffes, little animals, little bears, whatever, little lions. That's a idolatry. It's a graven image. We give Barbie dolls to our children. We give stuffed animals to a 2 or 3-year-old. It's what the Bible says it is. It's a likeness, which isn't a graven image. It's a likeness of something God has made. Sorry, it's sin. You would say that it's insignificant if I give my 3-year-old child a stuffed bear, teddy bear. Teddy bear's sin. I didn't say that. The Bible said it. Graven images are evil. They in Egypt they worshipped the sun. They worshipped the crocodile. They worshipped the falcon. We do the same thing in America. It's very interesting that the main river that cuts through Egypt was the Nile. The nearest city was 200 miles away, called Memphis. In America, the main river that cuts through America is the Mississippi River. The largest city that's 200 miles away from any other city is Memphis. Sun Records, Elvis Presley, Memphis, Sun Records, electric guitar. That when Elvis showed up, the downfall of America came. America is the spiritual Egypt. After 37 years, it's no wonder American Pharaoh won the Triple Crown, because it's That's what America is. American Pharaoh. That's pretty much sums up what America is. America is the spiritual Egypt. America is the mystery Babylon. America is the daughter of Chaldees. I believe that. And that's why America has symbols all over the place. All corporations have symbols. So graven images are sin. I didn't say it, the Bible said it. Pictures of wedding pictures, pictures of human beings, pictures of your family, your kids, are not sin because it's a picture of something God has made. It's not a likeness. If you go out and kill a bear or kill a lion and you mount it on your wall, that's not a likeness of a graven image. That's just, you kill for sport. God has given dominion over animals. I wouldn't do it. I'm not a hunter, but that's not sin. But Chicago Bears, the bear helmet is sin. That's what sin is. So sin is what sin is. So the reason I speak on that is because you see a lot of people go to football. A lot of fathers take their sons to football games, and fathers influence their sons. If the 40-year-old father has a 10-year-old son, take him to the Eagles game. They dress up like Eagle stuff, paint their faces like a feather or a bird. Well, the son's going to do it. Then the son's going to grow up. The son's going to be 40. He's going to take his 10-year-old son to the Eagles game. That's why God says, I curse you to the third and fourth generation. I bless those that bless me. I curse those that curse you. So that's where that comes from. So anyway, let's read a little past scriptures in 1 John chapter 2, verse 15, 16, 17. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, the pride of life is not of the Father, but of the world. And the world passes away, and the lust thereof, he that doeth the will of God abideth forever. It's a serious thing to fall in the hands of the living God. Spiritually, you see God in your Father. This is shocking. You see in your earthly father is your perception of God. If there's no father in the home, there's no God. If you're a child and your father's too tough, you think God's too tough. If your father's too lenient, you think God is too lenient. If your father lets you get away with everything, you'll think that God lets you get away from everything. You hear people say, I'm going to heaven when I die, God knows my heart. Well, their earthly father let them get away with everything. Fathers, they call their little daughters princess. You're your daddy's girl all your life, and then when that daughter gets to be a woman, she'll have no respect for God or the house of God, and she'll wear what she wants to church because she's daddy's little girl. But when she gets older, she'll be like, I'm God's little girl. I do what I want in church. God knows my heart. That's incorrect. So your perception of God is ramification from your relationship to your earthly father. That's why there's a lot of approval problems in this world. Fathers don't give their son approval. The son grows up, he always has to be so driven to succeed, but he's really driven to succeed because he's trying to satisfy his earthly father. Girls grow up, they want their father's approval. Next thing you know, they're prostitutes or strippers. And because how would a woman even do such a nasty thing like that? It's because they want approval of their earthly father. Matter of fact, the psychological ramification of a strip club is a man goes to a strip club, gives all his money to the strange girl, not because he really wants to be there. He knows consciously that that's somebody's daughter or sister or mother, but he needs approval. So he needs to give her money. She dances on a table in front of him, so he gets approval. She's dancing in front of him because she needs approval from her earthly father. So there's approval problems because there's father problems. There's father problems because there's God problems. America's number one problem, there's no God. If there's no God, we just revert back to our natural form, and we become like beasts. What you see now, same-sex marriages, transgender. God has clearly given this nation up to a reprobate mind, and a lot of people in America, you have a reprobate mind. You just do what you want to do. You don't care. If you eliminate God, you eliminate work ethic, character, critical thinking, wisdom, discernment, credibility. Without God in the nation, without God in your home, without God in your marriage, your life is a miserable mess. And it all stems from how earthly fathers act. That's why the father is very important in the home. So that's why Satan always attacks the father. He attacks the marriage. He attacks the relationship between men and women. He attacks everything that has to do with the home. If he can destroy the home, he can destroy the church, he can destroy government, he can destroy the nation. And Satan's God is to come, Satan's job is to come to rob, kill, and destroy. So it's very important if you're a father to raise your child in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. And knowing that if you're a father in the home, that your son or daughter, even when they're very, very young, they're watching you. Are you consistent? That's why God said it's very important for you to, your yes needs to be yes and your no needs to be no. You can't be wishy-washy. A lot of people say we're all God's children. No, we're not. The Bible says, John chapter 8, 44, ye of the father, the devil, the lusty father you do. So we're all God's creation, but we're not all his children. So that's something that we need to be ramification by. So we need to know that. So in this brief message today, I just want to let you know that a lot of problems in the home are by violation of commandments. We're bringing graven images into the home. We are very lackadaisical in our relationships with fathers, wives, children. We've let football become the number one form of idolatry, and that's the reason why all football teams, baseball teams, sports teams have mascots. Mascots are usually animals, which is a graven image. So you worship these graven images, rooting for a team, not realizing the damage that it's doing in your homes. And we're living the last days. I have my reservations about Christian films. That's the big thing now. For 50, 60 years, Hollywood has sinned. Suddenly, last 15 years, all these Christian films, but in a lot of cases, there's not really a lot of gospel in these films. Don't want to start a big fight, but it's a lot of truth to that. You see Tim Tebow. I don't understand who Tim Tebow is. I don't understand why laws were passed for him where he could be homeschooled but then play football for a high school team in Florida. And he gets to play in the swamp with the Florida Gators and win national championships. And your goal as a professional football player is to be a world champion. And God says, love not the world, neither things are in the world. I've seen Tim Tebow on cover of New York Post, GQ magazine. I've seen him with his shirt off, posing for magazines. He was out of football for a couple years now. He's back in football. August 2015, he's playing for the Eagles now. I don't understand who he is, and I don't understand what's going on around here. If God chastised me personally for watching too much football, or maybe you for watching too much football, or I know church on Sunday, you go to church Sunday morning, you go to church Sunday night, and during the middle, during the day, you're watching, you go to church, come home, watch football, and then go back to church Sunday night, and then come home, watch more football. If you're chastised for watching too much football, how can you be playing in the National Football League with half-naked cheerleaders on the sideline? And I believe the NFL's fake. I believe the mafia runs it. I believe they already know who the Super Bowl is going to win the Super Bowl every year. There's a good website. Ryan Truffy has the fixes in. I've seen it. I have my own reservations about football. I think that in a lot of areas, a lot of games are manipulated and faked for money, for the point spread. But that's another sermon. I'm just saying, football is the number one form of idolatry. It entraps men and their sons. We're supposed to come out from among them, be separate, touch not the unclean thing. I don't think there's any harm in watching a game from time to time, but if you're screaming at the television set, taking God's name, watching a game, then going to church. That's a big problem. They did a special one time on the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, and if there's 30 or 40 female cheerleaders on Sunday during a Dallas Cowboy football game, most of those girls give testimony that their father's a deacon or their father's a pastor of a Baptist church or something, but yet they're running around half naked cheerleading the game. Well, because they were raised in a situation where they get up and go to church Sunday morning, go home, watch football, go back to church Sunday night. So they were raised with football and Jesus. So when these girls get 18, 19, 20 years old, they see no problem running around on the TV, dancing or whatever, cheering, because they were raised like that. Their father's a pastor, their father's a deacon. After church service, to go home and watch the game. But what does God say? What does God say about this? What does God say about graven images? What does God say about the commandments? What does God say about how fathers are supposed to influence their sons or daughters? What's God saying about amusement? Remember, what's highly esteemed among men is an abomination towards God. Lambeau Field, Hall of Fame, Pro Football Hall of Fame, that is highly esteemed among man. It's abomination towards God. Being a world champion is highly esteemed among man. Being NFL MVP is highly esteemed among man. Have an undefeated record and all the stuff that comes with football and other sports, it's highly esteemed among man, but it's an abomination towards God. And when God comes back, he's going to destroy the earth with fire. So all your Hall of Fames, all your pro football stadiums, all your things are going to be burned up. So you need to take that into consideration in the last days that we live in. What's going on around here. I think Satan is really playing with us in these last days. Well, that's just my message today. So if you're a father, you have influence over your children, and you need to watch out. Watch out with sports. Watch out with how you're living as a father and acting. And I just wanted to say that. So thank you for tuning in today. Until we meet again, have a great day.